Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
Today we'll be discussing WandaVision, the new superhero series streaming every Friday evening here in Australia on Disney+. Part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers series, for all the laymen out there.
Yep.
Stars Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, the most powerful Avenger, joined by her android husband, Vision, played by Paul Bettany. The characters were first introduced in 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron. They were last seen together in 2018's Avengers Infinity War, where Vision was killed, and Scarlet Witch avenged his death in 2019's Endgame, which begs the question as to how he's alive, and they're in a 1960s sitcom setting.
50s.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going up by the decade, but it started with the 50s.
This is perhaps one of the weirdest things to come out of this series.
It is.
As a whole. What are your thoughts on it?
I thought I wasn't going to like it, but it's got me gripped.
Yeah?
Every episode something different, and it's slowly revealing more and more. It's a very good slow burn, paced perfectly for the pandemic we're currently in.
Yeah, a lot of criticism has been at the pacing. Like, a lot of people wanted this to be released in all in one go, but it seems to be following the Mandalorian style of things by going one a week.
Yep.
And you're fine with that?
I'm absolutely fine with that, because I can sit back, speculate, and just go, oh my god, ah!
So you do have a lot of those big moments then?
Yeah, I do have a few of those moments where, again, I thought I was going to hate this, sitcoms. A sitcom-based series with, Wanda and Vision going through the decades of the what's what of sitcoms of the era.
Yeah, I mean, episode 1 and 2 is kind of very Bewitched or I Dream of
Love
Jeannie.
Lucy.
I Love Lucy, yeah. And then the last one was very... What's the one that had the Olsen twins?
Family Matters.
Oh, no, Full House as well.
Full House, yeah.
Full House, Family Matters, yeah. That's kind of comes full circle on that, because she is the younger sister of the Olsen twins. So, she's probably one of the highest earning actors of all time now, being in Endgame and Infinity War. Yeah, this is it does keep you guessing for those first 3 weeks, because when it debuted, we got 2 episodes of it being almost completely black and white. It really doesn't pull its punches with just going, okay, this is a 1950s, 60s sitcom. We're not going to explain anything. And then there's a weird moment happens with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer through a glass window.
Yeah.
It's weird thing happens and then back to normal, sitcom. And it's not until episode 4 that we start to really get explanations for things. And I found then, once the explanations got going, it sort of started to make a lot more sense.
It didn't give us all the answers. It just gave us at least the ones we needed for now.
It was quite blatant in that way then. It was this is what's happening,
Yes.
It sort of raises some more questions, but in the next episode, it's answered some more. And there's still a few mysteries going on.
Yes.
We will get a bit into spoilers, because, we're not just going to talk in vague terms. It's been out for a few weeks now. So, when did you sort of start to click with things were happening? Did you have any, correct guesses or anything, or completely wrong?
Really, the only thing that I had that sort of point that I guessed that something was happening with her was the only 2 moments in the first 2 episodes, mainly episode 2, of objects permeating with colour. That being the strange helicopter-looking thing, which we was then shown what it actually was later on.
Yeah.
The cut in a woman's hand, showing the redness of blood.
I must have missed that, but yes.
Yes, that was at the pool party thing.
Right, yeah.
The ominous red beeping light of the Stark Industries toaster.
Oh, yes, and you had a lot of other weird, strange things, like the beekeeper emerging from the sewers.
Yes.
Which wasn't as creepy as we led to believe initially.
The only wrong guess I had was what SWORD's acronym was now.
Yeah, it's been changed. Well, SWORD, within the context of this universe, it's a big, government organisation or private organisation that examines the weird and the supernatural.
Yes.
The extraterrestrial. And they're currently investigating, before we had S.H.I.E.L.D., which was the main focus for a lot of this series up until now. The beekeeper, I was sort of thinking, I don't know of any bee-themed Marvel villains or anything like that, but no, it's quite funny with the explanation that also I had the expectation with this that she was maybe locked away in her own mind.
Yes.
That she is going around the twist. She's going a bit crazy.
Yeah, she's not... This is her trying to cope with the losses that she's had in her life.
Yeah.
That's very obvious now.
And I sort of thought it'd all be in her head, but it is actually physically within the world. She's like almost sort of captured a town.
Yes.
Or it seems as though she's captured a town and covered it in this force field, which has converted everything to this sitcom reality she wants to play around in.
And forcing each individual item to be stylized to that era.
Yeah.
It's very much like the old school Scarlet Witch of the comics.
Really?
Where her hex powers,
right,
which is something that has been popped up now,
yes,
actually could alter reality to some degree.
Right, yeah, because she is she actually magical within the thing, or is she just a mutant?
Well, she's a mutant, but it's like pure magic.
Right.
So the cosmic radiation that they were detecting was her.
Mm.
That was the source of her powers. It was pretty much cosmic-like radiation.
Yeah. So,
and I know there's going to be a bunch of nerds out there who are going to correct me on this, but fight me.
Yeah, well...
She wasn't just, the telepath and telekinetic.
Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, they've said for a while now she is the most powerful Avenger, and now we're kind of seeing that where she is manipulating reality and perhaps the universe as a whole and other universes as a result. We won't talk too much about the big end spoiler of the last episode.
No.
A cameo of sorts.
Though there has been a lot of Easter eggs that are pointing to other characters possibly appearing in this series.
Well, she did say, it turns out she was actually asked and someone said, is there going to be a Luke Skywalker-sized, cameo in this series? And she said there's one or two coming up. She didn't exactly say, this character is like Luke Skywalker-sized, because I'm sort of showing up like, really?
Yeah.
He's cool, but not quite Luke Skywalker,
No.
What do you think of the character Monica Rambeau?
Who was the next Captain Marvel?
Potentially.
Well, she was in the comics.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these comics are quite different to what we see in the film.
I know.
Yeah, but she was, she was in Captain Marvel as a child, and now here she is, and with a lot of weight behind her. Even though she is technically a new character, she's sort of fits right in. She's got a history, and she's got a lot of emotional weight behind her.
Well, it's interesting. She seems to be the only one that genuinely has Maximoff's health and safety in mind.
Yeah.
While the director, I can't remember his last name, is more interested in, that's a weapon, get rid of it.
What do you think about him? Do you think he's going to be revealed to be like a secret bad guy, or is he just, a bureaucrat?
It could be both. We've been getting a fair few red herrings, but at the same time, with what they've been saying about it behind and from Offset and that, we could be getting thrown a bone, or they could be trying to misdirect us.
Potentially, yeah.
One of the big things that I know that possibly will be coming up is we will inevitably see the appearance of Wonder Man.
Who's that character?
Wonder Man he was Vision's rival in the comics for a while. I only knew him as the guy who couldn't die.
Right.
And his brother just happened to be a Hydra agent.
Right,
the Grim Reaper.
And Hydra within this continuity is very tied into S.H.I.E.L.D., which was the counterpart to S.W.O.R.D.
Yes.
And that could be interesting there. There is speculation I've heard about a witch character called Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
With the speculation of Catherine Hahn's character being her, because she's within this sitcom reality, but she kind of seems to have a different perspective or understanding.
She feels a bit more off, even within it.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of like a fourth wall breaking moment where she comes in and it's like she flubs her line.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you want me to do that again? And it's so awkward. It was like, watching that, it was like, this is very real and uncomfortable almost. Like, more so when it goes like full darkness and like Deborah Jo Rupp is like screaming, stop it, stop it, stop it. Like just that weird, do you want me to redo that? It's like, ooh, what's going on there?
Absolutely. It's, it could almost be classified as a horror.
Well, they say that the next film she's going to be in, The Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, is going to be horror-focused. It was, I don't know who's directing it now.
Sam Raimi was the last person I heard attached to it.
Right, because is he doing Spider-Man properly now, or is he...
I don't think he's doing Spider-Man.
I don't know, it's weird.
I last heard Raimi was attached to Multiverse of Madness.
I might be getting confused, yeah. Because I just thought, oh, Spider-Man, Sam Raimi.
He's always wanted to do a Doctor Strange film.
Well, he's getting his chance.
He is.
I have to compare this as well to a similar show called Legion, which is based on another Marvel Comics character. Ironically, another child of the main two. I mean, Charles Xavier, yes. Eric Lenscher, Magneto. And it starred Dan Stevens. And have you ever seen Legion?
No, I've tried to find ways to watch it. Unfortunately, the source that it was on is very hard to come by if you don't have the wallet to back it up.
Yeah. But that was a very strange series that really didn't pull punches at all, to the point that Series 2 is almost inaccessible.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention. When it did explain things, it sort of only half did or implied it. It didn't sort of sit down like this, didn't go like, well, this is what's happening. Are you caught up to speed now? It's sort of like vagueness and more vagueness.
And huge more vagueness that's just going to make people pull out their hair trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Because with this thing, apart from like one or two moments, it really doesn't show its hand at all that it's going to be something else other than just a sitcom in those first few episodes.
It always vaguely hints to something darker happening.
What other thoughts about this thing? Or?
I am very, very interested to see where this goes. However, this is definitely one of those shows where people will either be grabbed by it or the pacing will throw them off.
There is the benefit, of course, of being able to watch it all in one.
Yes.
I mean, get that free Disney Plus.
But, however, they're going to have to wait a really long time if they want to get, the full series.
Well, it's 9 episodes, I think. 8 or 9 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think a week or so after this finishes, the Falcon and Winter Soldier series starts.
March 19th.
So that's going to be chock-a-block full of just content. How do you feel? Because it's been a while since we've had anything from this series come out. I think the last big proper thing was Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
Which was back in July of 2019. And of course we missed Black Widow, we missed The Eternals, which was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah, and they're getting sort of pushed forward now.
Yeah. How do you feel about this then? Do you sort of feel like you're missing something, or it's did it feel easy to step back into that world?
I feel that this is a bit more contained until we actually see the bigger picture, or the bigger picture is actually revealed. And I'm a little bit okay with that, I'm interested in this not just because it's the first Marvel product that we've had in a couple of years, though it does disappoint me that they've turned around and said it was easier to write WandaVision than it was Black Widow.
Oh, that's concerning.
Yeah, it is a bit concerning. It's like, really? I'm so far enjoying this, and there's a lot of parallels from the old comics that I've been sort of trying to... I don't have a whiteboard yet, but I will have the crazy red string wall soon.
How do you feel about this introducing the mutants then, the X-Men mutants?
I think this may be a good avenue to do so, and we may be getting more than what we bargained for, because I can't remember if it was... it was episode 5. Captain Rambeau mentioned an astrophysicist that would really enjoy studying this. Now, the only astrophysicist that comes to mind in the Marvel Universe that I can really think of would be Reed Richards.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yes, so either Richards already exists, but he doesn't quite all have that phantasm behind him yet, or this will inevitably become the reverse of No More Mutants.
So, to bring mutants into this world from another, do you think maybe?
Either bring it in from another universe, or everyone who was born human and meant to be a mutant will somehow wake up the next morning and boom, they're a mutant.
What do you think about the idea that I made a video on this a few days ago?
Oh.
What do you think about the idea that mutants already exist in this universe and they've just not been at the forefront because they've been too busy doing other things?
I think that may be possible.
The way I kind of thought about it is, if we go back in the past, 50s, 60s, 70s, the mutants were around, they were a contentious issue. But while we have sort of dipped into those eras a bit in the films and the TV shows, we've not seen them in full. We've had a very limited perspective on this world. And there have been concepts which have been introduced, Maria Rambeau, who's been here all this time, but we've only just really met her now. Same deal as Captain Marvel. She's always been there. Like back in Iron Man 1 in 2008, she was always there somewhere in the universe. The Guardians of the Galaxy were somewhere in the universe. So what do you think if they come into play now, especially considering their backstories and their histories with, you know, the bigotry associated with them and the allegorical, you know, to racism or to mental illness and all that sort of stuff?
I'll be curious to see how they do it. Because there are definitely a lot of good choices out there. However, I'm frankly just more waiting to see where they go so far with this, because we may not even know if it actually is who we think it is that popped up at the end of episode 5.
It could be him pulled in from another universe. It could just be a guy who happens to look like him in this universe, played by that actor.
It was one of the other things I heard, and again, we're taking this with a grain of salt, is that the two main bad guys for the series will be Grim Reaper and Mephisto.
So who are those characters?
So Grim Reaper is, from what memory, was a Hydra agent.
Oh gosh.
And he was a Grim Reaper, but he could de-age people as well, or age them up. And Mephisto, well, he's a demon.
Yes, that's right.
Heavily involved with people like Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange.
Right.
So if they're playing a part in the series, there's two people right there that could easily make this a bit more interesting, and with apparently this linking to the next Spider-Man film and Doctor Strange, we'll just have to see.
Any other random thoughts you made? I mean, the last episode, which cut between the real world and the sitcom world, you've gone and got this moment on the sitcom, very similar to like Roseanne or something, where it's like she has the final word and the credits start rolling and the audience claps.
Yes.
But the argument continues as the credits roll, and that was very uncomfortable to watch.
Oh, yes.
That was like, this isn't right. This is not what happens. Another thing I noticed too, I quite like what they've done with Kat Dennings' character, Darcy.
Yes.
Been a while since we've seen her, and it's good to have her back. It sort of brings it all together, considering...
It does. Same with Agent Wu.
Yes, he's great.
He has been. But it's good to see her character in a bit more of a actual importance of a role rather than relegated to sidekick.
Yeah, she figures things out. She even comes up with the term Hex when describing this force field, this Wanda's powers.
And she figured out the that it somehow got a broadcast going.
And I like they have said that there are other episodes happening. You know, we've only seen like a handful of them.
Yes.
Like, as viewers ourselves within the universe, there's more happening all the time. Yeah.
We're only seeing the important ones.
It's interesting.
It is.
WandaVision is airing every Friday evening here in Australia on Disney+. Episode 6 should be out tomorrow when you listen to this on the radio.
Yes.
I want to just finish off this episode today by talking about another witch-themed magical series. A Discovery of Witches is a fantasy pseudo-historical drama airing on Fox 8 and available to stream in its entirety through Foxtel Showcase. It stars Teresa Palmer, Australia's Teresa Palmer, from movies like Ride Like a Girl and the horror rom-com Warm Bodies.
Okay.
She plays Diana Bishop. She's a witch who shunned her powers following the death of her parents as a child. Raised by her aunts and now a historian, she's travelled to Oxford in England, where her powers have summoned a magical tome long sought after by the magical beings of this world. And she teams up with a centuries-old vampire, Matthew de Clermont, played by Matthew Good of Downton Abbey, the Guernsey Literary Society and the Watchmen film. And they form a bond, a romance, as they try to figure out more of Diana's powers, which are coming to the surface, and try to recover this book once more. It also stars Owen Teale, Lindsay Duncan, Trevor Eve, and Alex Kingston, River Song herself from Doctor Who. This is based on a book series written by Deborah Harkness that came out around the time of Twilight. You know, it was really quite big.
Oh, God. Yeah.
One thing I will say is the world building is interesting with the beings she chose. I mean, it's sort of standard. You go vampires, there's going to be werewolves. There's going to be that kind of stuff. Within this world, the only magical beings there are, well, there's humans, vampires, witches, and demons. And the demons, I thought, oh, that's interesting. But it turns out they're just, you know, special people, you know, who are creative. They're not like fire and brimstone or anything like that. They're just normal people who are a bit more, you know, in touch with their creative side. But the vampires are cool. Yeah. They're pretty much like, if vampires were real, this is what they'd actually be like. I don't think they have an aversion to like religious symbols or garlic or anything. I think they all have, you know, reflections and stuff, but they are brutal. They're super fast, super strong, durable, long-lived. Witches are quite powerful as well. I will say the special effects in this series are really good. Like, when she's shooting fireballs from her hands, it's like CGI, but it looks like it's really captured on camera. Like, there's like the lens flare that's like convincing and real. So that's massive praise there. It does take a bit to get going, and I sort of found myself a bit lost at times, because, a bit of spoilers for Series 2, I say pseudo-historical, they discover she has the power to travel through time. So they travel back to the 16th century England, and, you know, they're interacting with Queen Elizabeth I and this other notable writer who was sort of like a predecessor to William Shakespeare. Series 1 ends with her travelling back in time holding Matthew's hand, but then she's by herself, and sort of ending the series like, oh my god, she's trapped in the past by herself. But start Series 2 and they're just together, and it's not a worry or a concern at all. And the end of Series 2 was very strange as well, where it's sort of hinting that a character who we assumed was good
may not be.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit strange and a bit vague. It's a bit slow going, but there is some moments there that really just did grip me. Like we meet Matthew's father back in the past, and we actually learn he was tortured to death by the Nazis in World War II. So Matthew has this knowledge, and he's never got on with his father, and now his father's here demanding why he's hanging out with a witch when they're like mortal enemies at that point. It's interesting, and I haven't got too much more to say about it, but I've wanted to talk about it for a while.
Yep.
Because it's very raunchy as well.
Yes, sort of classic Fox 8 type deal.
Yeah, which sort of, it has the production value of like an HBO show.
Yeah.
The production company also made His Dark Materials, which we'll be talking about in a future episode.
Yes.
But yeah, check it out if it sounds alright, and Series 1's probably available on DVD, and check out the book as well. It's the All Souls trilogy, A Discovery of Witches, written by Deborah Harkness. And that's me done on that one. Anyway, we'll be back next week.
Okay. Yeah. So next week we will be back with Disenchantment and Cobra Kai, Netflix originals.
Oh, awesome. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you then.